Hey everyone, welcome to a special edition of Tunnel Vision Lunch with a Trojan. We're back. We got a special guest, Craig Naivar. He's the USC safeties coach, came over from Texas. I think you're going to really, if you haven't heard from Craig before, I think you're going to really love what he has to say. Coach, thanks so much for coming on, spending some time with us.
Outstanding. Put a collared shirt on for you. Big event.
I did a collared shirt yesterday. We had to postpone. So you
you're good. You're good. You're
okay.
Good. You're running
my Maui shirt on. Yeah.
It's your show. You do what you want.
Well, so for people who don't know, I mean, you get the job early in the year, a little before the pandemic, I guess about a month or so, and the pandemic hits. What's it been like transitioning from, Texas to California, and then pretty much the whole world kind of stopped?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind. I mean, we got here the very end of January, get going, off-season workouts, all that stuff, and then one day of spring ball, and then boom, it's all taken away. Thank goodness for all the virtual stuff we can do and how the world's adapted from that and gotten through that, and then got the chance to get back here the 1st of July and get back with the players and work and kind of go forward from there. My family's still in Austin. My daughter is a senior in high school right now. This is her senior year. Was not going to go through the revolt of trying to move her out of her senior year, and that's fair to her to do that. So I'm in my 600 square foot Taj Mahal right now. We go in Fairfax and loving life.
Yeah, so you're in your own personal bubble, I guess.
Exactly right. I got my bubble TV, refrigerator, barbecue pit. I'm good.
I got to talk here. Let me pull this up. Your barbecue pit, that must have been, good for you as far as I don't know, getting it through this, because it seems like you're crushing it as far as barbecue stuff goes. What's your secret there?
No, I was just born in a little small town of Taylor, Texas, right outside Austin. And the two things you get to do really well there are drink beer and barbecue. And obviously barbecue is a little bit more productive for you than just drinking beer. So really been around some really good people that are good at that, some friends of the family, have barbecue places they're world renowned down there and stuff like that. And it all kind of started when I was cooking for players, when I was a young coach, and you'd have players come over and bring them over your house and spend time with them, just hang out, and have kind of progressed from there. When you're cooking for sometimes an entire defense of 30, 40 guys, burgers doesn't cut it. You got to do a little bit bigger things. So.
Well, these are some ribs. They look amazing. But do you have a favorite cut? And are you like a sauce guy, a dry rub guy? What are you like?
If I've got to pick one thing, probably brisket, just from where I'm at. Not a huge sauce guy. It's usually your meat should speak for itself, and sauce makes it better. But I'm 1,000% believer in the smoke you use determines how good your barbecue is. The smoke that's from, I'm cheating right now. I've got a pellet smoker, which is not real barbecue. It's okay, it gets it done, but real smoke off of really good wood, and that's a whole other conversation. But that determines, in my opinion, your flavor and what's there. There's all different ways to do it. There's good parts of barbecue from all over the country. There's, I'm not going to get in an argument about this is better than the other and that type of deal. But it's fun. It's therapeutic. It's hanging out, and it's again a way to really do stuff for the players. I've had opportunity to cook a lot for the players since I've been back, and I'm not going to brag. Ask those guys what they think of it, and they're better judges than anything else.
I should have, I think, because we had Talanoa Hufanga on the show, and I don't think I asked him. I don't remember. I'm getting old. I forget stuff, but I don't think I asked him about the barbecue. I mean, might have. I don't know, but yeah, I'm sure they were huge fans. Yeah, I saw there was one video you had this blowtorch, getting the fire right and stuff. And so it's the right wood. You need the right wood, right, to create the correct smoke and all that.
Correct. Where in Central Texas, there's a wood. It's a version of oak. It's called post oak. And not to bore you with the details, but basically you can buy this wood in degrees of how long it's been seasoned. So it's a certain cut of wood, because oak has so many different cuts that you can get. You fall it down. It sits for a year. Then you slice it up. Then you set it away out of moisture for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And the longer the wood sits, the longer it seasons, the more it costs as well. But I try to contact some of the people that serve the big time barbecue joints in Central Texas and try to buy some off those guys and use it accordingly.
Wow. That's very complex. Nice. It's like aging your wine, and there are certain barrels and stuff. You
Yeah,
got to age your wood.
I couldn't tell you what wine pairs good with anything. I can tell you what beer pairs good with sitting out and watching your smoke get going and stuff like that.
Nice. Before we get into the football stuff too, I know you're a big baseball fan. I mean, sports are coming back. We lost the NBA for a day or two, but it looks like that's going to come back. But for baseball, what have you thought about the restart and some teams having to sit out? Like everyone's not played the same amount of games, and there's not fans. Like, what have you thought about what baseball's been doing?
More than anything, I've been really impressed with the level of attention to detail with that many guys traveling. I know there's been setbacks. I know there's been delays, but for the amount of games that have been able to be played and continue to be played and what's going on, I'm really impressed with that. I get a chance now, since I have free time, I got a hold of the MLB app that basically lets you watch any game other than for right now, the Dodgers and Angels, which you can just turn those on TV and watch those. So I literally watch baseball from whenever it comes on till it ends at night, and been very impressed with the fact that they're doing what they're doing right now.
Yeah. So we'll get into some football stuff. What was it like when you first, I guess it was 2 weeks ago in a couple of days that the Big Ten did it, and then the Pac-12 a little bit later postpones the football season. What was, how did that hit you?
You accept it. I mean, it's a decision that's made far above my pay grade, and you got to trust those people that make those decisions and do them for the right reasons. I understand the reasoning behind it and what they did, but it's like anything else. As we told the players, you train for things, and young men that are in the military train for missions, and all of a sudden that mission gets recalled or it gets changed. You got to adapt, you got to improvise, and be ready for when it happens. So, although yes, we would love to be playing right now, we'd love to be 2 weeks away from the start of the season, whatever that is. There's life lessons to be learned from this experience that are bigger than football. And I put it on social media. I was so damn fired up the next day at 6 a.m. The safeties had 6 a.m. workouts every day since they've been back in July. And 5:45, they started rolling in. Coach, what's next? Let's go to work. And
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Taking something that's an extreme setback right now and learning that, hey, in life, a canceled football season is not going to be the worst thing that's going to happen to you. Yeah. How do you react to this? How do you respond to this? How do you go forward? Has been the message, and our players have handled it really well.
Yeah, you mentioned, going back to work the next day, and I know some fans on Twitter were sort of surprised, like, why are they still working out? But it sounds like you guys are doing more of the extended off season. And just so people know, if you wanted to have a full football practice today, you can't. Like the LA County would not allow you to do that. Like you're still in these groups of like 8 to 12 guys, right?
Yeah, everything we do is for all the right reasons, 8 foot of socially distanced. So in our workouts, we're 8 feet apart. So press technique doesn't work as good when you're 8 feet apart. Open field tackling doesn't work as good. So it's been really challenging and really eye-opening to try to create drills we can do that are progressing our players and at the same time being safe. I know we've had a slight hiccup right now with the shutdown, but we went essentially 50 days of very, very minimal positive tests. And that's a testament to Coach Helton, to our staff, to our administration, to the trainers, managers, everybody involved with this to keep our players as safe as we have is extremely commendable. And at the end of the day, those guys you see in that picture right there, it's about their health and safety is the number one thing we're in this for. And based on where we're at in LA County right now, and great things are going the right direction, but they're not there yet. And we've got to be smart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, you guys have kept the players safe. Once school started, there's some off-campus stuff, whatever, it can kind of creep in there, and they have to shut down a little bit. Yeah, but I mean, it's not like you have a game coming up. It's going to be different for SEC schools and ACC schools when they have to kind of put on some delays. But what kind of stuff have you been able to do? Because there's also questions of, I'll put that picture up again, of a bunch of DBs, but at some point, like if you were going to play a game, you don't necessarily want all the DBs working out together because if, then they might all have to be, held out for a game. So can you work with them? Like, how much can you work with them in these off-season workouts, or is it mostly Zoom calls and things still?
We still have we've got a lot of times during the day by the NCAA rules of right now we're on a 12-hour model where 5 hours a week can be spent towards on the field training, and the remainder of the time can be spent either in the weight room and or in with 2 hours of meetings in there. To be honest with you, our guys are sick of Zoom meetings. I mean, we were Zoomaholics from March until the 1st of July. And that's a tremendous tool and everything else like that. But we still use those. We still implement those. But the stuff we need to do now is field-based work, fundamentals, teaching, and things that we can get accomplished in keeping those distances. And the great thing about what we're doing right now is when a young man should test positive or anybody test positive, it's so easy to contact trace because you're in your pod. You only work out with your group. So if a young man were to test positive, you just really concentrate on that small group rather than that guy being with multiple groups and areas and things like that. And our guys have done a really good job off campus as well, doing things smart, know your surroundings, know your environment, and having your mask on.
Yeah. Just lets people know. I can see the comments from Facebook and put them up on the screen. I can't necessarily. For some reason, YouTube's aren't working. But someone said I can't talk. My mouth is watering when we were putting up the picture of the ribs and stuff. So yeah, you follow Coach Naivar, Coach_Naivar.
That's a little bit too much time on the pin. I should have took him off sooner. So.
Oh really? Oh okay. Well, sorry. Well,
no, it's still good.
There were some really good pictures and stuff. But so if you have comments you're watching on Facebook, I'll be able to put them on the screen. I'll try to monitor. It's really hard to host and produce and check out the comments too, but I'll try to look at the Facebook.
Right now.
That's okay. I'll try to look at the YouTube page. If there's some good questions in there, I'll grab those at the end. But we kind of mentioned the NBA thing. You have to, work with your guys on, the COVID stuff and being safe, but there's also the social justice issues and stuff going on. With the NBA shutting down playoff games. I mean, they started this whole thing back in March too. How has those conversations been with the players? They feel like they can get their voices out. I know they're not playing now, but and do they come to you for advice?
Well, Coach Helton has done an amazing job when the social issues kind of hit the crust of everything back, a couple of months ago, or whenever that was, of really allowing our football team to speak and have open, honest conversations, and us as coaches being there is, what can we do to help? What can we do to stand with you, to assist you, to help you, and really be someone they can talk to. But our athletic department has done a lot of great steps in getting things done the right way. And I've tried to do my best to express to my players, at the end of the day, this is just one bald-headed guy's opinion, but a lot of this comes from home. A lot of this comes from how we raise our children, how we teach our children, how we can affect others and do that, and what they can do as ambassadors for USC to, when they go to elementary schools, when they get around kids, to from the ground level up, make this place a better place in every aspect. So it's been unique, and it's been something's been very long overdue.
Are there challenges? I mean, there's always challenges. There's you're a different generation than the players, but you just came on the scene. Like you're new to a lot of these guys. If you were still at Texas and you're talking to guys that you've coached for a few years, is that a little easier to do? Or how does that work, knowing that there's a bunch of new guys that maybe don't know you as well? It's maybe harder to talk about some off-field stuff.
Yeah, no, I think the very first thing you do as a coach coming into a brand new environment is that they don't care what you know unless they know how much you care. And that's an old phrase, but it matters. I tell them when I walk in the door, you have my trust until you break it, but it's my job to earn your trust. You don't have to give me your trust right away. You don't have to believe what I'm saying right away. It's my job to show to you that A, I care about you, B, I care about what you are off the field as well as on the field. And it's not my job right now to make sure that you like me. It's my job that when you leave here that you love me. And that's kind of a different expression of, with love, there's tough love. And I'm sometimes going to say things that you don't want to hear, but you need to hear them.
Yeah.
And it's not my job to constantly always pat you on the back, nor is it my job to always to get on you about things. There's a happy medium there. But at the end of the day, if you do not leave here a better version of yourself on and off the field, we have failed to do our jobs. When Coach Helton or whoever went in these young men's homes and recruiting and said, we're going to take care of your son. We're going to do what's best for your son. I'm just picking up where it left off from someone before me.
Yeah. And with another, piece of advice that you need to give players, and this is another unique situation that not your fault, you just kind of thrown into it. There's players that are going to have to make a decision if they want to opt out. We saw Jay Tufele as the only USC guy. Talanoa Hufanga is going to probably have a decision. Some of the other guys. How do you approach that with the players? And they come to you, like, do you talk to them about that?
Yeah, Coach Helton has had conversations with these young men. Our job as assistant coaches is to further these guys, coach the heck out of them, get them where they need to be, get them the next step, get them better, all those things like that. And again, when those times come in the future, we'll have those conversations and we'll be candid about them and do what's best for the young man and everybody involved. But so much is changing. I mean, you wake up, who knows what next week is based on what's going on. Who knows if games get played in a couple of days or weeks or whatever. I mean, it's so much is rapidly changing. Let's take things day by day and see where they go.
For guys like Talanoa or like Isaiah Polomau, they'd have an opportunity in the spring if you guys get a season. Is there things that they can show, NFL scouts that just maybe it's only 6 games or something, but do you think that's still a good opportunity to show?
Tremendous opportunity. I mean, any time that you can get yourself on tape, it helps them, honestly, to be in a different system because our system is slightly different than the previous. Not that one was bad, but different systems show your flexibility of, okay, I get a new defensive coordinator on an NFL team. Can I switch systems and still be productive? What does this do for me? Where does the gains I made physically and speed, strength, and all those things transfer to the next season? There's tons of benefit for these guys getting an opportunity to play this spring and putting on tape how they've progressed and more importantly, using that as a vehicle to help them going forward. More importantly, to work their tail off and try to bring a championship back.
Real quick, this is did I hear Coach Naivar recommend redwoods on the pit? Is that
No, post oak is the wood that I smoke with the most. Can't get it here, I don't believe. I brought some back with me outside, and when I moved my entire family here, this has happened before. The movers physically go, "You want that wood pile?" You damn right I do. That wood pile goes before the couch. So,
awesome. Okay, so the post oak.
I mostly use oak when I smoke.
Okay, post oak when you smoke. That's a little. You put that on a T-shirt or something, So you only had one practice. You mentioned that earlier in the spring. So we didn't really get to see sort of like any of your like philosophies. I know you ran some 3 safety looks when you were at Texas before. Was that something that was out of necessity, like personnel, or is that kind of working with Todd Orlando's scheme, like that tight front and stuff? How did that work out when you'd use 3 safeties a lot?
That was our base package was playing with 3 safeties. We evolved to 4, we evolved to 5, we evolved to 6. And that's what the NFL is becoming. When you look up and watch the Chargers beat the Ravens a couple years ago with 8 DBs on the field. When you look at the Patriots, look at a lot of different teams playing with a lot of defensive backs in the field because the game has become more spread out. I mean, the NFL is for lack of a better term, a spread, almost a Big 12 type of system. When you look at what Pat Mahomes is doing with the Chiefs and things of that nature, what the Saints have done for a long time with getting speed and space and doing those type of things. Coach Orlando's system is very versatile to play with what we have best, to play to our strengths and do that. So if it's 3 DBs, 4 DBs, 2 DBs, 4 down linemen, 3 down linemen, whatever the situation calls for, it's highly adaptable. And in the past 5 years, I mean, we've had essentially almost 5 very different versions of a team in the 3 years at Texas, with having more experienced guys in 17, younger guys, hurt guys at the University of Houston, having a different crew both years there. And I think it speaks volumes for Coach Orlando's defenses. The past 5 years, he's played the Heisman Trophy winner 7 times. And he's 4-3 against them.
Wow.
2-0 against Lamar Jackson, 1-1 against Baker Mayfield, 1-1 against Kyler Murray, and 0-1 against Joe Burrow. I'll put any coaches out there record against Heisman Trophy winners against that. That's pretty impressive.
To play 7 in 5 years is pretty crazy.
Yeah, he won the lottery on that one.
Yeah. I know you have a good relationship with him. You're also working now with a new cornerbacks coach and Dante Williams, and you said like you're putting more safeties on the field. I know that might take some of his guys off, but how has that relationship been? Or do you guys have meetings together? Or is it, or like the safeties and corners separate, or is it kind of one big group?
No, we meet separately just based on the stuff going on right now, but we've done a lot of stuff the last month or so with doing stuff together as far as communication, things like that. Dante's damn good. I mean, he obviously is one of the best recruiters in the country, but people lose sight of how good of a ball coach he is. And I think that's the unique thing that he has that most people that are the quote unquote big time recruiters may sometimes lack to be a good on the field ball coach. And he excels at both, and that's outstanding. The relationship's been awesome. His energy, his juice, his passion is there. Same thing with Vic, and the defensive staff is blended extremely well, and we're going the right direction. And Coach Shelton's done a really damn good job hiring a defensive staff.
Does it help that you guys are, same position, group or whatever, but also a couple of dynamic recruiters? Everyone knew about, Dante Williams and stuff coming in. And then, just seeing how you were former recruiting coordinator and just your energy that we've seen before. Does it help that you guys are together? You guys are both out there, like just pounding the pavement and just recruiting at another level than a lot of coaches would be.
Well, our entire staff is doing a hell of a job. Dante is certainly. I'm nowhere near as good as he is. He does a tremendous job with everything. But the department through Spencer and everything has been set up by Woody and Brandon, allowing the resources to be put towards that sorely needed to be there. And we're still getting to where we need to be with all of that. And it's going the right direction. The other guy that does not get enough credit for how he's recruiting right now is Coach Helton. He's doing a hell of a job as far as taking this time and since we've gotten here, been a tireless guy. I mean, there'll be a day you look up and he's got 35 to 40 guys he's connecting with, FaceTime wise, call wise, things like that. And oh, by the way, he's also got a head ball coach job he's got to do. He's got to deal with pandemic situations, this, that, and the other. And at any time, I could call him up at 11:30 at night and say, "Hey, coach, can you talk to this guy? Can you do this? Can you do that?" And it's done. Not everywhere I've been was that the case, and he does an outstanding job of it. So, but going back to the original part of the staff and Dante sets the tone as far as recruiting, and he's got a tremendous asset as far as his connections out here and people he knows, and that's helped me a ton with kind of getting my foot in the door, meeting people and building relationships with people, because at the end of the day, that's what this is relationships and recruiting.
Yeah. And one of the other challenges you have with the pandemic going on is, this is extended NCAA dead period. We haven't seen anything like this ever, to my knowledge. You guys have still been recruiting well. You can't talk about specific stuff, but how challenging has it been to not, you're in-person guy where you want to have these relationships and you can't build that. You're doing it over Zoom. Is that a bigger challenge for you trying to recruit that way?
Well, thankfully we have this where you can actually look people in the eye and, get on a FaceTime, a group FaceTime with family and members like that. And one way to spin the positive of this is if you are recruiting someone and maybe they're coming from across the country or 3 or 4 hours away and only that young man can make the trip, or maybe it's just him and his father. Well, now via Zoom, you can literally talk to aunts, uncles, cousins, whomever, and get the opportunity for them to go on a virtual tour of campus, to meet professors, to do all the things, to meet our strength staff, whatever it may be. I think the people that have adapted to this and accepted this is the new normal are excelling in recruiting right now. And if the people are kind of, well, let's just kind of get through this, it's not the way to go. Yeah. And let's use this technology that we have to the best that we can. And unfortunately, we've got a tremendous product to sell with the education, the location, the tradition, history, and now the name, image, and likeness component that's going to hit. This is a perfect storm right now.
Yeah. Well, what is the staff approach to, I mean, for local kids, they can come take a visit if they want, but out-of-state prospects, and you guys have recruited a bunch of them, if they're not allowed to take official visits this fall, does that impact things? And do you think kids might get cold feet, leaving home in December and January if they didn't really get a chance to visit it somewhere? We thought the visits would happen, but they haven't. Like, is there some more challenges, I guess, ahead, even if you get guys committed?
There certainly is. At some point, they want to come see campus and do those things. But at the same time, with the availability of videos, virtual tours, trying to present the best aspect you can of that, but you do not actually get to go kick the tires physically. You don't get to look underneath the hood and do that. So then it goes back to relationships. The time that I've spent getting to know Coach Naivar, Coach Helton, Coach Orlando, Coach Williams, Coach Harrell, Coach Colbert, whomever. Those are big because that becomes basically a trust that, Coach, I believe that you're going to take care of my son. I believe that you're going to do what's best for him and go from there. And fortunately, we have a proven track record at this university of doing things the right way, taking care of young men. The things that have been done since the quarantine, how our university has gone above and beyond as far as taking care of our players and student athletes, speaks volumes for it. So that stuff has to shine through.
So, it's not challenging enough, like moving cross country during a pandemic and like having one practice with your players, getting the season canceled, no visits for recruiting. Then you find out that basically it's a push year. No one's eligibility is going to count. How does that impact how you recruit going forward, knowing that seniors won't count and, in 2020, like you can actually keep them on? Yeah. You might try to recruit them to stay or go, and then knowing in 2022 you might have like this huge freshman class because there's kind of two of them together. Like, what kind of discussions have you guys had about that? Because roster management down the road seems like it's going to be a real issue.
Yeah, personally for us at defensive back, it's almost been, I hate to say it, a blessing with no defensive back signed in the 2020 class. There's a huge gap right there, gigantic gap. That we need the 21, the 22 classes to immediately come in and give us numbers and what we need right there. So as far as the defensive back portion of it goes, it's actually a blessing, honestly, to do that. And I believe it's been a great deal for the young men because of the situation, because of the unknowns of what's going to happen and what's out there. I think it's going to be a great situation that everybody will have to handle in their own way, roster management wise, but opportunity and competition wise, I think it's going to be real fun.
Yeah, I guess you guys did have a smaller 2020 class, and I wrote, I think that's probably going to be a benefit. That if you had a huge 2020 class, you might not be able to sign as many 2021 guys.
If you're a recruit and you look up and you've got a 2019 and a 2020 class for a university that signed 20 to 25 guys, and then now you're going to jump in and be another 20 to 25 guys or whatever that is, or the numbers start stacking up to our benefit. It was a smaller class in 2020, I'm sorry. And if some players do choose to opt out, that also adjusts your roster management too. So
yeah,
it's going to be adapt, improvise, and overcome. It's what it's going to be.
Just another challenge. But maybe one thing that could be helpful, we don't want to say everything's doom and gloom, the fact that you didn't get enough time with the players, this extended sort of off season, do you think that's helped, like not having a spring, but maybe having this extended off season to kind of teach them the techniques you want to teach them, or the overall system with Todd Orlando on the defensive side? I mean, has that maybe been a benefit if you do have a spring season that you'll be a little bit more of a leg up than if you had to start in the fall.
Yeah, it's you could argue either direction. The huge part of spring practice is going to be the physical implementation, putting pads on, doing that type of deal. I'll be the biggest one to tell you, you know, I don't really know what we have until we put the pads on. I've said that before. Till you run and go strike somebody continuously and do those things of what football really is, who knows?
Yeah.
But at the same time, having more time to really break things down and teach, this is why we do this. This is the offensive answers to what we do. These are our answers, and not just teaching what you do, but why you do it and what are the strengths and weaknesses of that scheme and or defense of what we're trying to get accomplished. We certainly can do right now and are doing.
Do you feel the players have kind of adapted to it and reacted well, at least from what they can do? Like you said, they're not putting on pads or anything, but just in the, in the Zoom meetings or whatever, are they kind of, embracing the new scheme and new system and the new techniques you guys are teaching?
Yeah, I've been extremely impressed. I'm always kind of hedging and seeing, okay, what's the day it's going to be like, Coach, I've had enough of this crap. Come on, dude, let's go. Or the juice and energy at the walkthroughs and teaching sessions are kind of like, has it come? And I've been very impressed with that, of their resilience, of what they are going through with, okay, I trained for this, it doesn't happen. I get ready for this, it doesn't happen. Again, that mindset of I've got to be prepared for when it does happen is prevailing right now. And it's really impressive to watch and to be experienced and be around these young men that are fighting through this, for lack of a better term. And the people that excel through this team-wise, it will show up this spring should we get that opportunity.
Do you have you mentioned Todd Orlando. It was a good story with the Heismans, but any other good Orlando stories? And there's something maybe that USC fans wouldn't know about him that you'd like to share about Todd Orlando?
No, just a really passionate ball coach. I mean, the really cool thing to watch about T.O. is, I mean, the guy's a former linebacker at Wisconsin. I mean, the guy's spilled 4,000 ISOs in one practice probably in his life back in the day when football was real football. A tenacious, tough-ass competitor. But what's really unique about him, he's extremely ahead of the game. And on game day, you see this extremely calm, collected guy that's calling a game, but his wheels are spinning 1,000 miles an hour with adjustments and what's my next call and what's going on and things like that. At the same time, when he's around the players in a practice, man, he's freaking 47 packs of dynamite. I mean, he's getting after it and going. So that's really cool about him in that regard.
Yeah.
And a very, very humble guy. I mean, he's never once going to, pat himself on his back or anything like that. He's just going to work and grind and get after it. And that's really refreshing to see.
Sorry, I didn't have a picture of him ready. I just had to add that on the fly. We're doing this whatever we can here during the COVID stuff.
Great job.
Another challenge, would be we're in this limbo period right now, right, where the Pac-12 and the Big Ten aren't playing. The SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 might. We don't know if they will. There's been some up and downs. Is recruiting a little bit different right now? And would you have a clearer path if you knew the SEC and the ACC, if they were playing versus if they're not? Like if they cancel the season, does that sort of change how you recruit? Because I'm sure there's going to be some negative recruiting if some school, some Power 5 conferences are going for it.
No, that would never happen. You're talking about negative recruiting. What's that? No, it's what you make of it. I mean, if you want to worry about the negative recruiting and what are they, let them say what they want. If it makes them feel better, great. Go right after it. We know what we have. We know the product we have. We know what's here. We know what we're doing for our young men. And it's our job to get that across in a positive manner. And if you want to go to negative recruiting, then I think that's just a simple fact of what should you expect once you get there as a young man or as a family having their young man there. So the negative recruiting stuff, I think, turns more people off more than it is effective at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think
for the people that you want eventually to be in your program and be around. let's always remember that whoever you do sign, you've got them for 4 or 5 years. So you better be damn certain it's the right guy.
Yeah, and I think you can. I forgot who I talked to at USC, but they were talking about, well, that's something you can turn around too. It's like, well, we're taking player safety a lot more seriously than they are. So I mean, there's other things you can say, as far as like,
You said it, I didn't.
yeah, there's things like that. Does it make you nervous at all? Like you could potentially sign a bunch of players in this recruiting class that you've never even seen in person, and you didn't get to visit campus, and you are going to have them for 4 or 5 years. I mean, that's another challenge. I keep bringing up challenges, sorry, but does that make you nervous at all?
No, fortunately, of the young men that by NCAA rules, I can't say their name,
right?
Of who were coming in. One young man at the previous university I was at, I actually met him there. He came and took a trip out there in previous years, so I knew him. The other young man I were able to meet in February 1st March 1st, if I'm correct in my dates, because February was dead, when that opened back up and doing all that stuff. And then also trusting Dante's evaluation of what he thought about guys when he was able to see these guys firsthand and doing that stuff. So I do think you get a strong sense of who a young man and family are through this time we've had with the quarantine and things like that. And again, using the resources that you still have to your benefit can get you a great gauge on that young man. And honestly, with more free time, although I cannot go to that school's campus, which I'm big on, if I go to a campus, I'll just start walking the hallways. And if I see a teacher, I'll just randomly grab them. Hey, do you know Johnny? And she'll immediately give you like or she'll just start saying how much she loves him. I'll grab a janitor. I'll grab somebody that works in the cafeteria and just bring that young man's name up. I don't get that resource right now, but I can expand out to talk to as many people with that school, community, trainers, whatever, to get a good sense for that young man.
I'll try to pull up a couple of social media questions, and we'll let you. I know I'm sure you got a lot of stuff to do. You
got a Dodgers and Giants doubleheader on deck right now.
Oh, so they're doing a doubleheader today. Isn't that weird? 7 innings, like doubleheaders and stuff.
It's like high school baseball all over again.
Yeah. Would you like the put a guy on second for extra innings?
What's funny is my son plays select baseball. That's been their overtime tiebreaker rule since he was tiny.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I want to punch myself in the face when nobody wants to bunt the run over from second to third and try to play for the big inning. But anyway, that's a totally different story.
Yeah. So here's a Facebook question. What do you feel is the strength of the USC's defense? I don't know if you can tell, you've only seen one practice, but.
Honestly, I couldn't answer that question. Right now, we do have experience in the back end and experience up front as well. So the fact that some of these young men have been on the field and have played and been in the fight is probably the best thing. That's the strength of it right now, is just experience.
One of the things that when people talk to me about, and I mean, usually your coaches aren't going to talk about what happened in previous years, but to me, I felt like this was a pretty stacked roster as far as linebacker talent goes, and it just didn't seem to be utilized. And I'm saying, Todd Orlando is a linebacker guy. Would it be fair to say that, he works to get the most out of his linebackers?
Does a hell of a job.
Yeah.
Does a good job.
Yeah. But if you want to put 5 safeties, you're going to take some linebackers off too. He probably won't like that.
Let's put him out there and run and hit people.
We had a nice comment. I like Coach Naivar. He sounds like a top-notch, caring, honest man. Fight on. Yeah, I don't know whether
what I owe you on that one. Let me know.
Let me check over on YouTube. So the new Zoo Guru, what is the coach's approach to defending the spread, and will training against Graham Harrell's offense help?
Yeah, one of the big things that training against Graham's offense is tempo, having to practice against the speed of that offense and things like that. That's not been a gigantic factor in college football really the last 5 or 6 years, because everybody experiences that all the time. It was almost funny at my previous university when somebody would actually get in a huddle, our guys would freak out I know when we played Utah in the bowl game, we literally would practice for the first 3 or 4 days of it, the scout team getting in a huddle and breaking a huddle because it was so foreign to what we had seen in that previous conference, as far as that goes. But yeah, the spread is putting speed in space and covering the field and covering every blade of grass and tackling well in space is another gigantic component to that.
And then one last one, also from New Zoo Guru. What was it like coaching Deshaun Elliott?
Deshaun Elliott was outstanding. I just got off an interview a few minutes ago from a reporter in Baltimore asking about him, and I think with Earl's departure, that's going to bump Deshaun up into a starting role right now, and where he goes from that's up to him. But an electric player, kind of had his breakout game in the Coliseum when he picked Sam a couple times, and took it from there. He was a backup as a sophomore and was a Thorpe finalist as a junior. So it was awesome to see his career, his work ethic, and what he did going forward. But a very fun player and tremendous young man and one of my favorites.
Do you keep in touch with a lot of your former players and see how they're doing if they move on to the NFL or wherever they do in life?
I do. I try to not wear them out, but I do try to stay in contact with them and send them a message here and there. And what's really cool is my son on Sundays, he'll watch the NFL games and Sunday night he'll tell me, okay, here's what Deshaun did, here's what PJ did, here's what this guy did, he'll give me the whole rundown on who did what stat wise and game wise, and people always ask me what's your favorite NFL team. I said it's whomever has got guys that I've coached that play on those teams. I root for those young men and those teams.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly on a different scale because we're you're working with the players, we're covering them, but I enjoy I remember covering Mark Sanchez when he was at Mission Viejo High School and then at USC, and then you can you build some relationships with these guys, and then you watch them in the NFL, and then you see them, we both speak at the same event or something afterwards, and you're like, hey, Mark, it's like, man, I've known you since you were 16 years old. It blows your mind. You get, and obviously your relationship is so much stronger because you're working with them all the time. But from the outside, it's still kind of a cool thing.
It just pisses me off when they go to a different team. Then I got to buy my son a different jersey with a different. They're at the Eagles now. They're with the Vikings now. Dad, can I get one of these? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate the time. Hopefully, you stay safe. Are you doing do you like golf, or what do you do? What do you do outside of football stuff? You're trying to stay busy, or what do you end up doing?
Leisure time right now is thank God for the MLB app. You watch all the baseball games and walk 3 feet right there and put something on the pit and have some fun.
All right, we'll do that. But if you put a mask on, you want to go outside, go check out Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. It's just, I think it's not that far from you. It's legit place. I'd love, if you like that, I love the.
No, without a doubt. No, it's once everything kind of clears up, I'm there.
Do you do any fried chicken stuff, or is it all? It's mostly beef and pork and stuff.
Too much of a mess. I start getting flour and grease going. I might burn this damn thing down.
Nice. All right. Well, Craig Naivar, follow him on Twitter. I'll put up his Twitter, Coach_Naivar. It's really been fun. Thank you for spending some time with us, and good luck going forward. Thanks so much. Much appreciated. Fight on. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will talk to you next time.